Have you ever noticed how some political arguments seem to fall apart the moment they're challenged by the same standards being applied equally? Well, that's exactly what we're looking at today. In this discussion, the panel dives into two separate controversies involving Donald Trump. One focuses on foreign policy in America's relationship with its allies, while the other centers on political speech, public criticism, and whether public figures should be held accountable for their words. But as the conversation develops, something much more interesting begins to happen. What starts as an attempt to criticize a comedian for refusing to apologize quickly turns into a broader debate about consistency, accountability, and whether the same rules are being applied to everyone involved. And that's where things get particularly interesting. As you watch, pay close attention to how the conversation shifts when questions about apologies, political standards, and personal responsibility are raised. Are the arguments being applied fairly across the board? Or are different standards being used depending on who is being discussed? I'd love to hear what you think. Do political figures deserve more scrutiny than entertainers, or should everyone be held to the same standard? Leave a comment below and join the conversation. And if you enjoy political analysis and commentary like this, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Now let's watch the clip together, and I'll give you my thoughts afterward.
Tonight, what's the cost of offending Donald Trump? Just days after the German chancellor criticized the president and his strategy in Iran, saying that the U.S. was getting humiliated, the Pentagon is now removing 5,000 U.S. troops from Germany. In a social media post prior to the move, Trump complained his German counterpart, quote, doesn't know what he's talking about, and he criticized the German economy. The Pentagon says that the troop withdrawal will take 6 to 12 months, but on the outside, the move is largely viewed as a symbolic one. Even if 5,000 troops are removed from Germany, it would still host the second largest U.S. troop presence in the world, behind only Japan. It is very like Trump that this is happening largely because he felt insulted by the Germans. And it kind of speaks to just how he operates. It's sort of like a tit for tat.
Yeah, I think it does speak to how he operates. I mean, this is someone with very thin skin. Even if it is symbolic, I mean, 5,000 troops, I think, is still significant. But I think the larger message that this sends is not to Germany. It's actually to Vladimir Putin. It is, we are going to pull down our troops. We are going to lessen our presence. Even though we still have a large presence in Germany, we're going to respond. And that sends a message to Putin that we have been pretty much under this administration not serious about arming Ukraine and supporting Ukraine. But I think that just gives Putin more carte blanche to continue this war of choice that is he continues to wage in Europe. And it leaves less protection for our allies in Europe. And I think what's the miscalculation here of this administration is we use our European allies and bases there to support operations in the Middle East and also in Africa. And we also use those bases to support our operations for our own defense. So this might be symbolic, but it does send a message to Putin, and it also sends a message to our allies overseas as well.
Yeah, you're right. We do. I've been to K-Town there, and we do Landstuhl Air Force. Landstuhl is the medical center that we utilize there. And I wish that this administration wouldn't sort of do these types of things when it comes to our strategic military interest in the region. I don't know what's behind this. I didn't read say that.
I agree.
There we go. Look, I think that when it comes to the military and it comes to our national defense, it's not political. I say that all the time. It's not right or left. I do think this is going to impact the German economy, right? 5,000 U.S. Army soldiers are the most, that's the service that's there. Spending money in that economy is going to have an impact. And maybe that's the message that the president is trying to send. I don't know that I agree 100% that that's the way we should conduct that in sending the message to the Germans, but I understand the intent behind it at least.
So, I mean, this is not, this is going to seem like a completely different topic, but the other moment that a lot of people accused the president of having thin skin about was how he reacted to Jimmy Kimmel's joke from last week. And here's Joe Rogan criticizing the president for just all that has transpired after that alleged joke.
Adam Carolla had a really good point. He said that joke on a Thursday. On Friday, nobody gave a because Kimmel. He said a joke about Melania. He made his own mock White House press correspondence dinner.
Right.
And he said Melania has the glow of a woman who's recently widowed.
Okay.
Just that's it.
It's an
But it
old
was-
guy joke, like he's gonna die.
Yeah, it
And
could
then-
be, or an assassination joke if you want to take it that way. But he is old.
Wait, it
but
was
then
after the attempt?
no, before.
Before.
So it's on Thursday, and this is Corolla's point. That's a really good point. He said no one gave a on Friday.
Right.
It came out on Thursday. No one cared on Friday. No one cared on Saturday until Saturday night when the assassination attempt, and then all of a sudden everyone's blaming Kimmel.
And now it's just been added to this like very tiresome, frankly, long-standing tit for tat between Trump and Kimmel, and it just won't. He won't let it go. I mean, Kimmel doesn't like him, but Trump is the president, and he will not let this go.
Number one, the joke was in poor taste. Number two, it's a shame that Jimmy Kimmel can't stand up and apologize for a joke that was in poor taste. And third, Adam Carolla makes a decent point that was referenced by Joe Rogan there, but no one cared on Thursday because the people who watch Jimmy Kimmel agree with his politics and they probably thought it was a hilarious joke. The people who would call him out for being distasteful don't actually watch his program. That's why no one said anything until after the fact.
You know, Pete, can you tell me one example of Trump ever apologizing for anything?
Can you tell me one example of
yeah,
Trump?
I don't know why
making a
it
joke about
matters.
someone,
I mean,
like,
Jimmy
dying?
Kimmel made a
Are you
distasteful joke.
serious? Robert Mueller? Robert
Yeah.
Mueller? Are we going to act like that didn't happen on Twitter?
Can you give me an example of someone's spouse being told, you look
Nancy
like the wife
Pelosi's
of a-"
husband.
It's like,
I mean,
Paul
What's so
Pelosi.
sad about
the
your
point
response?
is
Hold
that
on, hold on. Trump made jokes about Paul Pelosi, implying all kinds of crazy conspiracies
Yeah.
about why he was attacked with a hammer.
Yeah.
The president did that. That actually did
defend
happen.
Trump's decency,
And
'cause he's not.
and I would also add, I mean, the president earlier this week made a joke to his wife that she's going to outlive him. In front of he made the joke in front of the king.
But there's a
He
big
did
every
make
wife
that
makes that
joke.
joke.
I think
Yeah.
the joke was unkind and unfunny.
Yeah.
But why make a federal case out of it? This whole city
Right.
lives in fear of Trump's petty angers. The entire Senate, the entire Congress does. Everyone in the administration. That's why they have to parrot his lies about the 2020 election or whatever he wants them to say. The entire city lives in fear of it because he makes a federal case
That's right.
out of everything.
And that's
exhausting.
And that's the point. I mean, it's like, again, you cannot show me an example of Trump ever apologizing for anything. So I just think it's rich when any conservative tries to go and say that someone should apologize for anything.
Why is
the
it
point
rich?
is that the Republican Party ran on
why
a
is it
platform.
okay?
Peter speaking. The Republican Party ran on a platform
me, so that's okay.
of having free speech. That's what you guys campaigned on. You went to all the college campuses all around talking about you stood for for free speech. Now you have the president of the United States being so much of a snowflake that he cannot handle a joke he doesn't like from Jimmy Kimmel. That's ridiculous. to me.
And Jimmy Kimmel can't be man enough to apologize.
Your president
if you
is not
think,
man
if
enough
you
because
think
he's
that
never
Donald Trump is
apologized
in the
for
gutter,
anything.
so you think you should just jump in it with him?
He's
Rise
the
up
man
to
you
it.
voted
I know
for.
you do use the whole you thing a lot. Like, let's be not personal and accusatory about everything.
Did you
say.
vote for him?
I didn't actually. Would you
Oh.
like to know that?
Oh, that's
breaking
news
news
to
on
me.
CNN. I've never voted for Donald Trump. How about that?
That's news to me. You got
That's
it.
gonna be a hot take.
yeah,
He-
good.
that's gonna
It'll
be-
make
got
it
me
on
there.
Mediaite or whatever.
You got me
He
there.
is your president too.
That is-
just for the
yes.
record. Just for the record.
He's the president.
And your president.
All right, guys. Next for us in corporate America.
What happens when the standard you try to apply to someone else ends up being used against your own argument? That's the question that stood out most to me after listening to this exchange. The most notable moment wasn't necessarily the disagreement itself. Political panels disagree all the time. What made this discussion interesting was the debate over accountability and whether the expectations being placed on one public figure were being applied consistently to others. One side argued that a public figure should apologize for remarks they considered inappropriate or offensive. On the surface, that's a perfectly reasonable position. But the discussion became much more complicated when questions were raised about whether similar expectations had been applied to Donald Trump over the years. Once that comparison entered the conversation, the debate shifted from the original issue to a larger question about consistency. What I found particularly interesting is that several participants appeared to agree on broader principles such as responsibility, leadership, and the importance of public conduct. The disagreement wasn't necessarily about those values themselves, The disagreement was about when those values should be enforced and who they should apply to. That's often where political debates become most revealing. People may agree on the rule, but they disagree on whether the rule should be applied universally or selectively. The broader significance here goes beyond this specific exchange. It touches on a question that continues to shape modern politics. Are voters and political commentators holding their preferred politicians to the same standards they expect from everyone else? Or have political loyalties made consistency more difficult to maintain? That's why moments like this resonate with so many viewers. They're not just about one joke, one comment, or one politician. They're about credibility. When audiences see apparent inconsistencies, those moments tend to become the focus of the entire discussion. But what do you think? Was the criticism raised during this debate fair? Were the standards being applied equally? Or do you think important context was missing from the conversation? Leave your thoughts in the comments below because I'd genuinely like to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss future political commentary and analysis. Your support helps the channel grow and allows us to continue bringing you thoughtful discussions on the biggest stories in politics. Thanks for watching. And remember, the strongest arguments are often the ones that can survive being applied equally to everyone.